Marcus, we're going to head to Ukraine and a pretty tricky financial situation the country's in.
Absolutely, a pretty tricky financial situation. Perhaps some relief to that financial situation this Friday as the Ukrainian currency has been rebounding, trading up sharply against both the dollar and the euro this session. It comes after Ukraine's central bank took action to stop the fall of the hryvnia. Measures include caps on currency transactions and daily bank withdrawals. Ukraine's leaders, they are trying to put up a united front to calm jitters about the Ukrainian economy. Ukraine's prime minister and the central bank governor said earlier during a press conference that there are enough reserves to pay off creditors in the short term. They're also optimistic the country will be able to live up to the conditions to receive outside help soon.
I've talked to the finance minister of the United States. I've talked to the heads of the international financial organizations, with the heads of the European Union. Our finance ministry is working on a mechanism for quickly receiving financial aid for Ukraine.
That was the Ukrainian Prime Minister speaking there earlier. Now, it was once the largest exchange for the virtual currency Bitcoin. Now, Japan-based Mt. Gox has filed for bankruptcy protection. It follows days of speculation after the website of the exchange went dark earlier this week. Mt. Gox now says it may have lost nearly $500 million worth of Bitcoins due to hacking. The theft has sparked some to foresee the downfall of Bitcoin, but others say it'll make it stronger. Delana D'Souza has more.
Bowing for forgiveness, a humbled CEO says hackers stole 850,000 bitcoins from Mt. Gox. They're worth around $500 million. The theft, together with debts to the tune of $63 million, pushed the company towards bankruptcy.
We had a problem with the system that does a loss to our beacons to our customers. And we identified the problem. We are working on this.
Bitcoin has made a name for itself as the world's fastest growing currency, but it remains unregulated. And it's because of this, legal experts say, investors are unlikely to see their money again. Japan's finance ministry has shrugged responsibility.
No one recognizes it as a currency. So for something that isn't recognized as a currency, is it the finance department's responsibility?
The value of Bitcoin has fallen since the news of Mt. Gox's troubles first broke. Some say the bankruptcy could lead to the downfall of Bitcoin, while others feel lawsuits from investors could help define the currency. At the very least, it may help strengthen regulation.
It's a good news for the Bitcoin industry in the very long run, because when you weed out the bad competitors, it actually gives a lot of opportunity for good exchanges.
While the fall of Mt. Gox may be an isolated case, Bitcoin is still spreading. Just this week, Bitcoin vending machines and retail stores sprung up in Hong Kong, Singapore and New York, making the currency a little less virtual.
Let's move on now. The American economy lost steam in the fourth quarter last year. At least it didn't do as well as first thought. Revised figures show the economy grew by 2.4% on the October to December period in 2012. That's sharply less than the 3.2% the U.S. Commerce Department first estimated. The downgrade is attributed to lower consumer spending and also lower export levels. Now, that revised figure doesn't seem to be putting much of a dampener on trading over in the United States. This as a reading of consumer confidence in February came in stronger than expected. We're seeing broad-based advances across in the United States, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 up around about 0.5%. The Nasdaq is up, but not by as much as the two other indices. Let's also talk you through the European close. European shares, they were mixed at the close, with the FTSE 100 pretty flat, as you can see there, whereas the DAX in Frankfurt gained a little bit more than 1%. And if we stick to Europe, inflation in the Eurozone came in slightly above analyst expectations in February at 0.8%. It's the same as in December and January. The reading is still below the European Central Bank's target inflation near 2%, but it is easing fears of deflation, and it's also seen to be easing pressure on the ECB to take action. The ECB will hold its monthly rate-setting meeting next Thursday. Shares in owner of British Airways and Iberia, they were down despite the company swinging back into profit. International Airlines Group posted a full-year profit of 122 million euros for 2013 earlier. It follows a 716 million euro loss the previous year. IAG was boosted by a strong performance from British Airways and also low-cost carrier Vueling. Iberia is still in the red, but IAG says the Spanish flag carrier is making progress when it comes to cost-cutting. And we talked about American growth earlier. Let's turn to India now. Economic growth in Asia's third largest economy slowed in the fourth quarter to 4.7%. It's the fifth quarter in a row that year-on-year growth was below 5%. It's also far below the 8% growth that the government of India says the country needs to keep unemployment at bay. Okay, that is the business news for now. I'll be back in around about an hour's time with more business headlines. For now, though, back to Tom.
Thanks, Marcus. Look forward to seeing you in about an hour's time. Then it's time for a check of